My name is Dr. Nwankwo Anthony Okobosh Mwezigwe. I am the Odogwu of Ibusa clan. I'm also the President, International Coalition Against Christian Genocide in Nigeria. I am presently in exile in Manila, Republic of the Philippines, on account of my battle against Christian genocide and persecution of Christians in Nigeria. So I have no apologies for being in exile, because I am not in exile for criminality, but for the collective interests, for collective security, and for the collective survival of my Christian citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I am today making a special appeal to the Deputy Governor of Delta State, His Excellency, Chief Sir Monday John Onyeme. I humbly make this appeal, requesting him for the interest of our time-honored customs and tradition to seriously look into the petition I wrote against the Ibusa of Ibusa, His Royal Highness will be Professor Louis Nwoboshi, for his attempt to contravene the time-honored customs and tradition of Ibusa people over the conferment of Odogwu of Ibusa title. I want to state clearly, and as it is common in the whole Onyeme land, the whole Western Igbo, in the whole Delta State, their traditional titles, especially called traditional titles, like the case of Odogwu Ibusa, is not a social title where traditional ruler will come one day and say, I confirm you this title. No. In every town in Delta North, the conferment of such titles as Odogwu, Uwolo, Iyase, and the likes are subject to months, ritual processes, initiation rituals that are not even connected with the traditional rulers and prescribed authorities of particular kingdoms and towns, except when it comes to the issue of presentation. Even in Benin Kingdom, the Oba of Benin, Omonoba of Benin, the most revered traditional ruler in the whole federation, barely participate in the initiation rites or confirmation of chieftaincy titles to those first-class chiefs from Oliha down and other areas, unless on few occasions, just on few examples. So Ibusa cannot claim to be so, to have the authority to confer Odogwu title, which has existed before its creation. It has existed from that immemorial in Ibusa as in other parts of Onyeme states. Sorry, Onyeme land. Before the creation of Ibusa in 1995. So I am pleading with the Deputy Governor of Delta State, who is in charge of chieftaincy matters, pay his constitutional functions in Delta State, to look critically into my petition, not just for the sake of me, but for the sake of other petitions, because we saw the same Ibusa doing the same in the case of Uwolo Ibusa, coming to the point and saying he confessed somebody Uwolo, which is wrong, which is totally wrong. For you to be an Uwolo, Iyase, Odogwu, Ikwele, and even Omu, you have to undergo certain ritual coronation processes, initiation rites that can take months. No such title is ever taken in Ibusa in less than a month. And Ibusa of Ibusa, who did not even take Obu title, will come and tell us he conferred somebody Odogwu. What? Odogwu is a warrior title. You didn't even you are not even a member of the Warrior Society, Ogu War Court of Ibusa. You are not even a member. I say you are conferring a war title. You are not like an ordinary traditional ruler who is per his position. Like that's about Fasaba took Obu title before he took it. So he's a warrior. Other traditional rulers, prescribed authorities in Anoma, they combine their duty as warriors. So they have right, even though they are not directly involved in coronation of such titles. Because such titles are departmentalized sectionally in each town. Sorry, in each quarter or each village or each sub-clan. So the opposer shouldn't have done that. But let me just make it known to His Excellency clearly that I'm not doing this because I'm based as a professional historian who have been fighting to protect our time-honored customs and tradition. It is my duty, it is my professional responsibility as a scholar to make sure that in my own case, the right thing is done, not on selfish basis, but for the records. For the records. Because I'll be asked, when it came to your own, what did you do? What did you say? That is the position. So I'm pleading with you, and as I said in my addendum to the petition, I said, if the Obus of Ibusa Nwoboshi is able to contradict, I didn't say all my facts of my petition, I didn't say half of my petition, I didn't say 1/3 of my facts of my petition, I didn't say 1/4 of, I didn't say, well, I said 10% of the facts I raised against it. If he's able to contradict them, I will resign my position as Odogwu. That was what I told him. So it's not, I know, well, Your Excellency, I know your position, but the culture, subculture zone it come from. The Ndokwa Okwani zone. I know your place, you don't play with your customs and tradition. And as such, you will not support anybody who is contravening his own customs and tradition. I've laid my fact down. Although I don't know what might be your perspective now, as a politician, or even as a knight of your church, sir. These two factors may affect your perspective over your own customs and tradition. But the fact remains that your primary duty is not only to manage and administer or design policies for our traditional institutions in Delta State, but also to make sure that the integrity of our people, which is founded on their customs and tradition, is maintained, retained, respected, and not abused by those who are positioned to promote them and advance their importance in our society. This also will form part of your responsibility as a head of the department that designs policies and implements policies and also supervises everything concerning our traditional institution in Delta State. Let me make it further, because people may talk, oh, who is this person, who is this person? Yes, there are certain things. Let me just tell you certain things, Your Excellency, Mr. Deputy Governor. Let me tell you certain things about me which may determine the way you take my position, either positively or negatively. I don't hide it. Number one, let me say that I like your present governor, His Excellency, Governor Sheriff. Not for no other reason. I'm not a member of PDP. I'm not a member of APC. I'm not a member of any political party. But I like Governor Sheriff for one reason: his frankness. No governor in the whole federation has come out to say, look, we have money in the states. Others may be talking about how they save the money and so on and so on. But he came out to say, look, Delta State, we have money. No governor has ever said it. That is all. But outside that, Your Excellency, there are other areas, my other positions you might not like. For example, I neither like nor support the present federal government of Nigeria under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Just as I never supported President Muhammadu Buhari during his term. And for the reason of my not supporting him, I went to Federal High Court of Savannah and sued him and the entire members of his government, including the National Assembly. For what? For Christian persecution, for Islamization, and for preparation for the present genocide we are talking about now at Federal High Court Asaba. And my lawyer, my counsels then were the late Professor Ben Wabeze, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and now the aging elder Solomon Asemota, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. These were my lawyers. And it was as a result of that suit that I fled the country, got injured, my pelvic act broken, and for more than 6 years, I was running from country to country for that. And today, we are facing the same thing under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu: genocide, Christian persecution, and outright blatant discrimination against Christians in federal appointments. You politicians can accept it because of your own, but I cannot accept it. I cannot accept a situation where, in a country where Christians demographically make up the majority, you have a president who's a Muslim and a vice president who's a Muslim. I cannot accept it. You may not like it. If that will be one of the reasons why you can look at my petition negatively, fine. But I have no apologies for this. I don't have any apologies for this. That is my position. And that may be the reason why the Ibusa of Ibusa will want to take advantage of me in that instance. Oh, this man is against federal government. Let all refer. Look, the facts are there. The people often say that the law is an ass. Yes, the law is an ass when the evidence is not provable. But when evidence before the law is incontrovertible, the law will no longer play the ass. And that is the case with my own case as Odogwu of Ibusa, against the Ibusa of Ibusa. There are other areas which you may not like me, which may also affect your position on this case. First, I am not in support of the creation of new Onyeme state, because I believe that this Onyeme state is clearly my own, this data says clearly my own Onyeme state. I don't dissipate my energies in irrelevancies. At any rate, the present government, federal government, has too much trouble on its hands to talk of creating states, which may even talk about additional funding and so on and so forth. So it's a ruse, which I don't support it. Secondly, I 100% oppose any idea of Onyeme, even if at the end they said Onyeme state is created. Any attempt to push it to the southeast, I 100% oppose it. And this is number one place where I stand against the Obos of Ibusa, Obichelu Nwoboshi. I stand against Senator Nedi Nwoko. I stand against Obi Anyasi III of Idumujuno. Nobody among them, even in the East today, can claim to be more Igbo than me. In scholarship, as the first director Center for Igbo Studies, University of Nigeria, as an activist, president of Igbo People's Congress in Lagos that protected Igbo interests, a spokesman of Igbo World Congress based in Uturu. So nobody can claim to be more Igbo than all these people in Delta State, in Delta North, in Onyeme, making noise about joining the Southeast. I defended the Igbo interest. I fought for the Igbo identity, and I've never denied my own identity as an Igbo man. But something I cannot deny as a historian is the fact that the present Delta North is a multicultural and a multi-ethnic society. And it is rather insulting for somebody to tell us that an Ebu man who is still speaking his Igala man, an Olukubi man who is still speaking his Yoruba language, and those in Indokwa East, we have many Isoko people still speaking their Isoko language, including those people whose origin are traceable to Benin Kingdom, including Idumujuno and Idumujuboko, and even the Obus of Ibuso, whose ancestors trace the origin to Ubuluno, from Ubuluno to Benin, through Ole, through Ozoro, with Ozoro and so on and so forth. You now come and tell us that every person in Delta North is Igbo, because does language alone determine ethnic identity? They don't want some of us who are experts in that area to talk. They don't want to listen. They want to impose on us for their selfish end. And this is where I disagree with the Obus of Ibuzo, and I stand by it. If this is part of the reason why people are going against my title, fine and correct. But that is my position. I will never change it. I so stated clearly that it was wrong. I berated Obuzo openly because it was wrong for him to have gone to a national television to berate or criticize Asaba of Asaba against Asaba history, which he Obuzo does not know, because that is not his own area. Obuzo read forestry. He's a professor of forestry. He doesn't know even anything about Ibuzo history, much more Asaba history. And for him to go on a national television, attack Asaba of Asaba over Asaba narratives on their own history, on Asaba history, was not just disrespectful of the traditional institution of Delta State, but was intended to create wider enmity, wider conflict between Ibuzo people and Asaba people. Because when a traditional ruler insults a fellow traditional, both of them are doing that. One is doing it on behalf of his people, and I had to intervene as Odogwu of Ibuzo to stop it. And I, as Odogwu, I am the only person who has a right to put him in order. When I became Odogwu Ibuzo in 2005, Ibuzo was in order. Because it's better for people to understand the situation of the crisis in Ibuzo and why they felt, oh, Senator Nwoboshi is dead. The only obstacle they have now is Dr. Nwezigwe, the Odogwu of Ibuzo. Let us do it. They can't do it. But that's what I'm trying to tell you, Your Excellency. Why should you look at that position on submission critically? So that when somebody is wearing the garb of Odogwu of Ibuzo tomorrow, and they're wearing my people, the public will determine who is on borrowed Odogwu title regalia. People will know about it. I'm not saying it because I'm concerned, because I'm involved, but I'm saying it for posterity. Because history is about the record of commanding events, of the activities of men over time. And if, as a historian, I record other people's activities, and I fail to record my own, then I'm a fool forever. So it is better for us to understand the background of this Ibuzo. Of all the members of Traditional Council that I started with, only three elders are alive today. The present senior doctor of Ibuzo, Onowu Paul Ije. The present doctor of Umweke, Onowu AWO Inogonum. And then in Shimweze of Oboli Quarters, Onowu Ezonian. Then I have the secretary of the senior doctor then, Pastor Ebochionye and Donald Diokba. No other person was involved in the leadership of Ibuzo Traditional Institution. Only me, only two of us. Now, or let me say four of us, plus the other two, secretary and Donald Diokba, we're around. So people who don't know our history, people who don't know how Ibuzo is being run, should listen to people like me, and not to gang up to pretend as if they're ganging up against me. On what ground? When the opposition was created out of the exigency of having a a representative of the Diokpa, because we believe that the Diokpa was too old, and those acting as Ono Diokpa were actually taking advantage of him and do things he never asked. So we said we needed somebody who will now represent the Diokpa. And that was how the opposition institution came about. And when the opposition institution came about, the idea, the position of the white paper, the government white paper, is that all customary matters will be retained by the Diokpa of Ibusa. And only political matters will be retained by the Obuzo of Ibusa. That was the major text of the position. So when they removed the Diokpa's status as prescribed authority and treasurer and replaces it with Obuzo, it does not translate to Obuzo taking the whole responsibility of the Diokpa at his own as a treasurer. That was the major problem we had. When after making him Obuzo of Ibuzo, he came to Ibuzo General Assembly, Ibuzo, he sat on the Diokpa's seat and demanded that he would break the kola nut on behalf of the people. And that was where the problem started. How can you break under Ibuzo customs and tradition? It is the oldest that breaks kola nut. Even when we are choosing, we are sharing kola nut. For people like me as Odogwu, I don't take kola nut with my hand from the plate. Being among the first people to be giving kola nut, they will hand over the kola nut to me. I won't put it because dipping my hand and taking it means I have taken kola nut over and above, and before those who are biologically senior to me, and that will be sacrilegious under Ibuzo customs and condition and tradition. So the pattern is that when the four major elders have taken, and then they will now come to me and other traditional chiefs, and they will go kola nut in by hand. So we did not take it. That is the Ibuzo. I cannot say I am going to, even in Lagos, in Abuja, in overseas. No matter how rich, no matter how educated you are, if the poorest man there is the oldest man, he takes the responsibility as a Diokpa and the man who breaks the kola nut. And Obuzo wanted to contravene it. And that is very crisis. Telling that he's Ezofan. Even in Ezofan, Obiselu who cannot break kola nut before the Ogene of of Iseluku Kingdom and other areas. So that is the problem we have. Somebody trying to usurp the power he's not entitled for. And after that kola nut fiasco, there was crisis. Then the next one is that for him to decide to say he was abolishing Diokpa of Ibuzo, senior Diokpa of Ibuzo. And when people rejected, he now said he was going to crown Diokpa of Ibuzo and started crowning the first one, Isinka, Diokpa Isinka. So the Obuzo now will come and put cap on the senior Diokpa, his father. As the Diokpa, where has it happened? We know the tradition of how we take the Diokpa. You don't crown Diokpa. Diokpa is by emergence, by the fact of your age. Simple as that. And the major transfer of authority from a late Diokpa to succeeding Diokpa is what we call Ituni. When the succeeding Diokpa does or performs his Ituni, he automatically takes over, and he can now do what? He can now sit and call meetings in his home. But unless that is done, the dead Diokpa remains the Diokpa. So we have patterns of succession within our customs and tradition. And Obuzo came up and said he was going to crown the senior Diokpa of Ibuzo as what? As Diokpa Isinka. And we refused. The man he did it to, Diokpa of Oboli quarters, who now became, we ostracized him. And when we ostracized his son was in Benin, his first son was in Benin. And when we ostracized, we said, we are not going to. When the succeeding Diokpa died, when his predecessor died, Obi Okoma died, we told him, you are not going to perform Uni. So you are not succeeding him unless you pay our fine for allowing Obuzo to crown you as Ezisika. Who is Obuzo to crown the father of the holy Ibuzo? The man says, Obuzo says you should not do it. In a short time, the man started crying. that the dead elders, his ancestors, were attacking him in the night. Where is my ring? Where are my, yeah, those men? His son. I'm talking of Mwesabu. His son who lived in Bifeson ran back and summoned the Holy Ibusa. And summoned the Holy Ibusa. And his father paid fine. And we accepted him. And when we accepted him, Obuzo and I went against him and went against him. Called police for senior doctor of Ibusa. Telling this Obuzo they're talking about. This Obi, Professor Sheron Ongo, he arrested the job of Obori, who now became the job of Ibusa, senior doctor of Ibusa. And that was when the Delta State government, under Governor Uduaha, said, no, it cannot happen. The deputy governor then, Professor Amos Etuama, now constituted a committee to look into the crisis in Ibusa, headed by his predecessor, Chief Benjamin Elue. And we came there right at Deputy Governor's office. And Otoma, Professor Otoma, Deputy Governor, clearly told Obuzo, you are not a traditional ruler. You are a representative of your people. You have no right to tamper with the customs and traditions of your people. I'm glad that you, Benjamin Elue, former Deputy Governor, is still alive today. He headed the committee. He told him, you should not be interfering with your people's customs and tradition. Because that was not the reason why we were made an opposer. It was made clear at the Deputy Governor's office. After that, there was a state of quiet. For the first time, the Ibusa Traditional Council and his Ibusa Council, we met in Wezapo's house and met. We met as a group and performed the Eka more for that year's moment. After that, he went about again. You don't impose yourself on people. Those who we are talking about did not emanate from your people. Those who belong to my family. My great-great-great-father's maternal uncle. Father, maternal grandfather. From our kingdom in Indokwa East. Introduced Odogwu in Ibusa. And he was the first Odogwu in Ibusa. Odogwu Kubra, who defeated the Benin army against Ibusa. Ibusa was under Benin conquest. Ibusa was being ruled by Benin by an Eze Obi, His Royal Majesty, Obi Ezechi, whose descendants now are in Ejema and Yogo. It was Odogwu Kubra, my great-great-great-grandfather, in the 17th century, defeated the Benin army from our kingdom. And for long, my family were taking the Odogwu title as a hereditary before Omeze people begged that they should join us. The same thing with this Obuzo. The present Obuzo was supposed to be our own because we are senior in Ibusa. We brought Umeje to Ibusa. And Umeje's descendants, the first descendants of the first son of Umeje, Umonuma, we are living in my village, Ezuku. In Idumikwele. Until 1904, when this issue of Odogwu, when they said they wanted to be Odogwu, Ezuku told them cannot be Odogwu because you are part of Idumikwele. Ikwele people, Idumikwele don't take Odogwu. There are villages that cannot take Odogwu in Ibusa. Idumikwele, Umuina, Umoche in Omeze, where his candidate, Obuzo's candidate came from. Because they have their own Obiafugo in school, because some of them have certain restrictions, both by ritual, both for ritual reasons or political reasons, that they will not perform. You are still saying you bring the man to be the Odogwu of Ibusa, when traditionally his family, his kindred are banned from taking the title. Who were supposed to be the old, and they came, the same moment they came to us. In spite of that Chief Austin Izobo, acting as commissioner under Kefa, went and mutilated the paper and placed Ezuku as second. Omeze, Ezuku is the major owner of Ibusa, and that is why 95%, and let me say 99%, 100% of all the uniting rituals and festivals, let me say 99, except Iweji, which Umuva perform in conjunction with Okpanam. Okpanam actually performed Iweji for Ibuso, because Okpanam gave us the yam medicine after certain crisis. So they decided to perform Iweji for Ibuso. Okpanam there. They perform in the day, in the morning. Umu while they brought the medicine, we perform in the afternoon. And the rest of Ibuso, we perform in the evening from 4 p.m. That's the way we do. These are traditional fasts that are incontrovertible, which Obuzo thinks because he bears the title of a prescribed authority, he can change and destroy. He can sit there and say, oh, I'm removing the Odogwu of Ibuso. And it will just go like that. Because he feels the government is on his side. He feels that, oh, Odogwu of Ibuso is in crisis. He has problem with the federal government. He's out of the country. So he can do it as he likes. They have not been defending Ibuso while I'm here. Did he not commend me? When all those fake native doctors were destroying Ibuso rivers and streams with their fake men, was I not the person Bosch consulted? Look, they are destroying my town. What can you do, Odogwu? Go and cleanse my own shrine. Go and cleanse my own river. I'm from here in Philippines. I called my cousin in Obowole, Odogwu, and tell him to go to the Diopa, Obowole them. And tell him that this is what Bosch told me, and I want them to cleanse. I gave them money right from here. Did Obuzo know about that? I gave them. They went there, they cleansed everything. It was after that Obuzo and I decreed that there be no such things, no fake native doctor. I said, was I not here? Odogwu title is not a social title. I know the processes I passed through before I came to this point. And it's not somebody will just come and say, oh, you are not Odogwu here. It is not done that way. I'm saying this for posterity and for record purposes. So that the deputy governor, His Excellency, we hear from my own mouth. It's not just about writing. It's not about people are saying, I've told you my position. And let them guide my position against the federal government, and I'll stand by it. And no going by my position against Ibusa of Ibusa, and I'll stand by my position on Onyeme, stand by them, all of them. This life is a passage. Nobody comes here to stay permanently. The only thing that will determine who we are after we die is all about the positive or negative things, aspects of our life when we're on this earth. We have an Ikwele who was crowned, Chief Paul, there, who was crowned Ikwele, a retired superintendent of customs, who was crowned Ikwele. Obuzo said he was not Ikwele, and went ahead and brought his own first cousin, Celestine Okafor, and made him Ikwele, and the young man has been performing as illegal Ikwele, even acting as chief priest. Ikwele is never the chief priest of Ibuso. The chief priest of Ibuso is Onyeme. Ikwele is the ritual war king in Ibuso, not priest. Obuzo crowned him Ikwele against Paul Onochie, the customarily, traditionally, and legally crowned Ikwele. Celestine Okafor. Obuzo's mother was the immediate elder sister of Celestine Okafor's father. The same mother, the same father. And he brought him, say, become Ikwele. Accepting it. He went there and crowned Owolo, when he has no right to crown an Owolo of Ibuso. And people allow it to go through that way, because there was nobody there to put him in order. And he thinks they can do same with Odogwu of Ibuso. Because we are in a system where people hide under church, under modernism, to commit crimes against the ancestors, to abuse and destroy their time-honored and time-tested customs and traditions. Prescribed authority. Every place, even the Oba of Benin has its own restrictions. The most revered king in Nigeria today, from whom we adopted our own system, he has his restrictions. He has his limitations. He has his checks and balances. He doesn't claim to be all. Before Buzo, the mere fact that he was made, the mere fact the word prescribed authority means authoritarian regime. Prescribed authority to him means finality in authority, finality in power. But I, Odogwu, I'm also a prescribed authority within the limits of my role. Odogwu of Ibusa. So I'm pleading with the Deputy Governor, His Excellency, Sir Monday John Onyeme, to look into this matter. Because what makes Onyeme people of Delta and Delta State in general, is the reverence with which we hold our customs and tradition. That is what separates us with people in the South who speak the same language with us. But we cannot, you cannot stay there, somebody from Ndokwa, where the customs and tradition of people are well respected, are well ordered when it comes to social control mechanism, to allow such to happen in Ibusa. And stating it, my paper is there, the declaration by Aniocha District Council under His Royal Highness Obi Zedona the First of Ogwashua, chairman of Aniocha District Council. The declaration there is there, made in 1974, dated 19th February. Is there. That is law. According to Section 11 of Delta State Traditional Relations General Relations Council and Chief Edit of 1998, as amended, is there. And that law was what? Incidental from the Western Nigerian Chiefs Law of 1959. And it passed to what? To Bender State Law of 1976. And it's there and adopted today. Section 35 and 36 of the same Delta State Edict defines clearly that a declaration made before is still legal. And the edict states clear that someone becomes a title holder from the day he was traditionally made. Certification comes later. And when Obuzo refused to submit my name, my people submitted my name to the government, to Delta State government, and they all presented before you. So I remain the authentic, the legally installed Odogwu of Ibusa today. And I want the Deputy Governor to use his offices, not just to accept, as I've said, but to diligently investigate my petition. So that tomorrow, when people try to take advantage of their position against the institution that made them, they will know that there is a superior law, there's a superior authority that can change the situation or can that checks and balances against them. Thank you, Your Excellency, and God bless you.